Welcome everyone to the top 32 of the first round of DMP 2025, the Polish Drift Championship. My name is Brandon Carr and we're joined by Kean Brady in the booth. It is going to be an insane day. This is where it gets exciting. If you were there for the top 16 of semi-pro, the action was insane. But now we move on to the biggest and the best of DMP. It is going to be a good one, Kean.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. It's going to be a very, very exciting pro battle tree here. So we've got a good few battles. We saw a very, very exciting qualifying there yesterday. Nasser Al-Halbali getting that top spot with a 97-point run. We are here at Autodrom Słomczyn, and we are after just finishing semi-pro, where we saw Patrick Detmer take the win. Very, very good morning for him and all the other drivers. Some very, very talented drivers there. So you can see our little bit of our timetable there. So we have our semi-pro this morning. We have our top 32 starting now in a little bit. And we have our rest of our day. Then we have a little bit of a break between the top 32 and top 16, I believe. And we will be going through these battles all day today. So feel free, grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee.
Mamy oczywiście długą prostą, na której zawodnicy mają się rozpędzić i ta linia, którą teraz widzicie na ekranie, ona wyznacza punkt inicjacji. W tym miejscu zawodnicy muszą jechać już pełnym kątem. No i pierwsza część trasy to jest inner clip 1, tu gdzie są te trzy linie. Idealnie jest wtedy, kiedy zawodnik jest przednim prawym kołem przy tarce. Przechodzimy do zony zewnętrznej numer 1. Ona nie jest na krawędzi, więc tam jest trochę zapasu, ale lepiej nie wylatywać. Następnie mamy szykanę, zona zewnętrzna numer 2, przed nią strefa do odhamowania, czyli tak zwany diesel zone. Zona numer 3 w tym drugim łuku tam na zewnętrznej i zawodnicy muszą zejść do środka, żeby złapać zonę numer 4, którą widzimy w tym momencie na ekranie. I przed nami jeszcze dwie zony, czyli zona numer 5 i 6. W tym momencie widzimy zonę numer 5, tu już jest strefa odhamowania, więc tu trzeba tę prędkość wytracić i trzeba ją wytracić odpowiednio, żeby złapać zonę numer 6 i teraz bardzo ważna rzecz, nie można w zonie 6, a raczej przed zoną numer 6 wylecieć na tarkę, no bo sędziowie bardzo mocno zwracali uwagę na to, że takie wypadnięcie kołami na tarkę, no oznacza po prostu 0.
So there you have it. That's the explanation of what we're going to be seeing on the track. That's what the judges want to see. That is exactly what we are expecting. And there are plenty of insane drivers. There you go. There's our list of judges. Amazing people. They have been absolutely going ham at what they do. Obviously, without them, we wouldn't be able to do this properly. The judges are an essential role. Every role is essential, but there you go. There's all of our judges on the panel this weekend who will be doing the rest of the season as well, and they are responsible for making sure that everyone is competing fair and has the correct results. But here we have our first drivers at the line, ready for the top 32 kick-off at round 1 at Słomczyn.
Yeah, as we wait at the start line here.
Oh, there you are.
No, I am here. So we are at the modal start line there with our first drivers on the line. So we have Lukasz Wilczek and Nasser Al-Halbali for our first battle. Then we have our second battle is Zolt Holman and then Peter Utasi. Moving on, then we have Fabian Dozinski with Greg Merlu, Kamil Horecki and Samuel Madlov. We have Mateusz Suski and Mikhail Reinhardt. We have Viktor Vettermark and Tomasz Majkar. Maciej Jarkovic and Bartosz Stolarski, Maciej Zareski and Kedrick Verubel. Moving on to the other side, then we have Jakub Kroll versus Mateusz Fiau, Mads Anderson versus Dominik Kur, Marcin Neyman, which is versus Alexander Fiau, Oris Mikulchuk versus Paweł Huczek, Lukas Strzemski versus Zdenek Kabarvek. I butchered that one. Then we have Jakub Projagonski versus Victor Anderson, Valtteri Shevlov versus Karolina Pilarczyk, and Peter Kozłowski versus Krzysztof Józwiak. Yeah. So there we go.
We are going to get better.
Bracket. We will definitely get better over the course of the season.
Yeah, but, pronunciation isn't our strongest. But yeah, the track's looking insane. Temperatures are high. Vibes are good, spectators are locked in and ready to watch this crazy battle action that is about to be happening. But we have Lukasz Wilczek at the line there in that M3 E46 from Poland, running 800 horsepower, and that car is just your textbook E46, but now we have Nasir in that 1,000 horsepower crazy I almost said E36 Nissan S13 with the boss kit. He has been going absolutely crazy both in qualifying and in previous championships. He has come into Europe to prove a point. He wants to do well as the lights go green. Here we go, the first battle of the top 2 pro class of DMP2025. Nasir in the lead, big flick initiation, doing a great job so far. Lucas right there, maybe almost just over angling, getting into the dirt there as they come around into outer zone 2. Doing a nice job so far, but tries to get the dive and gets caught up in it. Nasir is just left him in the smoke. There's nothing there as they come around now into outer 5. Nasir is just got a casual drive. Unfortunately, it looks like Lucas is just got caught in the smoke and has gone off track.
Yeah, I think Lucas actually shut down there in sector 3, but let's have a look at this. So on initiation, Nasir doing an incredible job in the lead position there, as we'd expect him to, going through inner clip 1 and outer zone 1. And doing a very good job. So let's see what happens here to Lucas. As he comes in here, he does manage to get in on top of Alhambra, but then falls off track. And I think that forced him to shut down, into a spin. So Nasir will finish out that a Sunday Drive-esque run for
I do
the
think
rest of here.
Around outside zone 3, it does look like there's a lot of marbling there, and obviously you can see with the texture of the surface, those rear tires, as soon as they touch that, it is going to be spin central.
Absolutely, yeah, those marbles will cause an issue there. So it's kind of like a little bit of a hexagonal little dips in there. So I'd say there's a lot of marbling, a lot of dirt, a lot of debris getting caught in there as we cool down Nasir's car at the start line there. He did correct me on the live stream there yesterday. It is El Salvador he is from, but he's living in Dubai. So that man coming into Europe this year to show what he is really made of in that 1,000+ horsepower S13 as we move across then to Lucas's car in that E46. Brandon, what will we see in this second half of this battle, do you think?
You can see all of the dirt there just kicked up onto the side of Lucas's car. Unfortunately, it's just how the things are, but Nasir knows he doesn't have to do too much. His spotter would have told him as the lights go green, he doesn't have to go too crazy. So let's see what he does as they now go down the main straight and initiate onto the line. Nasir hasn't got much to work with here as he comes around into the Manji section. Lovely stuff between the two, very snappy transition there in the chase. Lucas doing a very nice job in the lead. Nasir can't get left behind, as obviously that will play a disadvantage for him as they come around into outside zone 5, doing a lovely job between the two of them though as they come around. Lovely lead there for Lucas, and Nasir just doing a textbook safe chase.
Yeah, Nasir doing exactly what he has to here, just making sure he's safely through into that top 16. That's all he needs to do. So he will just keep that little bit of a gap there just to make sure he is safe. He knows he has the upper hand here as Lucas does everything he can in that lead position just to clutch at straws, hope Nasir makes a stake behind him. But with a driver like Nasir, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, the way he's driving at the moment. Nasir doing a very tidy job here, not a whole lot to be breaking down here because he's just doing exactly what you need to do in that situation. If you've that 10-0 advantage, you do need to leave that gap. Don't take any risks. You don't need to do it. You do see guys going to make that risk sometimes, and then the run does just fall apart. They end up causing a collision or crashing or something like that, and it does end up hurting them in the end there. So we do have a decision there, and Nasser Al-Habali getting the win there. That El Salvadorian man getting the win, and he will be moving through to the top 16. Lukasz Wilczek moving out of competition there, and we will see him back for round 2 next month, I believe.
Yes, indeed, and it is good to see Nasser back on the European stage. Obviously, last September he was in Warsaw at the PG Narodowe Stadium for Drift Masters as well. So seeing him back in Poland competing is really, really good, and it's good to see more international drivers coming into Europe, as it seems to be where everyone wants to be right now in drifting. This is where people are made. This is where you're made or broke. This is the perfect place to make a name in Europe, as we have Peter Utasi in that F22 side of the line, getting ready to chase in this full carbon Kevlar S13 piloted by Zolt Homan. And yeah, this thing's crazy. Like, that thing must be so light. As we have them now get ready, as the lights get ready to set. BMW versus S13. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get any interesting action in this battle. But oh, what happened there? But contact on the initiation. He didn't initiate.
Yeah, Zolt not initiating at all there. Let's see what happened. He looked like he went to flick, but when he went to flick back, nothing really happened there. So I wonder, was that a bit of power loss maybe? When he went to flick back, we can see a red flag there on the left-hand side. Maybe is it a restart? I'm not too sure.
Me neither.
Interesting now
Genuinely.
to see. Hopefully we can get some information for that. Yeah, it's a restart there that I'm hearing. It is a restart, so we'll get those guys back to the line.
It's just a shame the chase driver didn't notice that. And obviously there was a little bit of contact, but no major damage made. So thankfully, all is well. So now we set them back up at the line, ready to go again. Obviously, Peter Giutassi in that awesome looking F22. Really liking the hexagonal mesh he's got in the rear quarter windows.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Something different.
It's practical. It's practical. It does its job. I'm not sure what, but it does its job. Here we go. So we got Peter Giutassi and Zolt Homan once again. So hopefully we don't have a false start this time, as he manages to make it around the chicane this time. Nice big flick initiation there from Zolt. Doing a good job so far. Lovely into maybe a bit late, but dropping maybe half a tyre. But look at this from Peter, just right there on the door of that S13. Maybe pulling away a little bit there, losing a bit of ground as they come round now into the last transition. Oh, just over angling, and he goes off of track. What's just happened there?
Yeah, scrappy end to that run there. Let's have a look at this, break this down here. So initiation, fairly good from both drivers here, has initiated in through inner clip 1 and outer zone 1. I think Giutassi would want to be a little bit closer there as we transition back through the Manji section up into outer zone 2. And yeah, looking fairly good here from the chase driver of Peter Giutassi, getting in close into that pocket of Zolt Homan here as we look down into the main part of where we want to look at here now. So into the D cell, we see Giutassi just absolutely go off track, 2 wheels off track, but Zolt Homan, in a completely unrelated note, also making a huge mistake and just going really far inside on track and then straightening and then going off track. So I think this will be down to the next run here, Brandon, because we could see 2 zeros there.
Potentially, but then again, it comes down to the case of who zeroed first. It's going to be a difficult one to say, but it's going to be all down to this run now. Of course, you said it's interesting how one goes way too shallow and one goes way too deep. But we'll have to see what we do with this next run as we have that F22 leading in that S13. He gets a nice bump on the line, gets the pace in to chase that F22. Nice initiation there from Peter so far. Nice in and outside turn 1. But so far that S13 is kind of nowhere to be seen, but he gets a lovely dive onto the door there as he comes around towards outside turn 2. Lovely stuff. 2 of these drivers, absolute warriors as they come through. Nice transition there going into 5 and around 6, maybe dropping the tyre in the lead. Definitely a lot cleaner this time, but still quite a few mistakes being made.
Yeah, a few mistakes here, but Zolt Homan doing exactly what he needed to do in that chase there when making that dive around sector 3. But before we get there, this first section, very, very nice from both drivers, except there's a little bit of a gap there being left. So when Zult does make this dive, look at the speed difference here as Zult makes that huge dive up onto that F22 BMW and sits on the pocket there, the front wheel, trying to cut some corners there to get and stay on the door there, as we have Utasi pulling a little bit more of a gap here when we transition back around here. Zult nearly doing what Utasi did in the first run there and going off at outer zone 5 as they come around into outer zone 6 and across the line there. Scrappy towards the end of the run there, but we'll have to see what the judges make of that and put the first run into this as well. You've got a really, really interesting battle here to try call.
Definitely is all about who made more mistakes, but who is moving into the top 16 is Peter Utasi in that F22. Moving on into the top 16, unfortunately for Zult Homan, just the Hungarian driver not making it through into the top 16, but hopefully we'll see him around for round 2. I was looking into the chat briefly and I'm seeing a lot of Hungarian flags, a lot of people supporting their national drivers, so it's good to see people coming around all around the world and supporting their favorite drivers, even if it's in the middle of Europe. It doesn't matter where you are, the sport is universal, it's everywhere. But now we have our next set of drivers, Kian.
Yeah, our next driver's on the line, Fabian Drzinski and Merlu Gregg. So Merlu Gregg in that lovely carbon Kevlar E92 BMW. And we then have Fabian Drzinski in that lovely, lovely S chassis there, S15, I believe it is. It's an S14.9.
Yes, S14.9.
Ah,
yes,
only saw
indeed.
the front, God damn it. Anyway,
can we just talk about how far back he's sat in the chase lane?
Yeah, he's looking to get a bit of a run up here, I believe. Greg actually has less power, so I don't know, is he looking here, is there, definitely doesn't want to leave a gap.
I have no idea. We'll have to see as the lights go green. That 14.9 now leading in that E92 Eurofighter. Look at the proximity though from the get-go right there on the pocket as we come around into the midsection, going into outside zone 2. Lovely stuff. Look at the proximity from this E92 driver. Going absolutely insane as they come around. He could have been a bit deeper there in the lead on outside zone 4, but look at this masterclass of a drive right now between these two drivers. Wow. Merlu just really putting on the pressure.
Lovely proximity here from Merlu Greg Merlu as we come through here. Look at the proximity here through the first two zones as we transition back. Timing them transitions very, very nice. Like I was saying earlier on in semi-pro, timing is everything here, but Greg having a little bit of a check up there, just making sure he doesn't make a huge amount of contact. And with that lead driver there as we power around to outer zone 4 here. We see Greg just sitting nicely on that pocket as they transition back. Look at the timing here in the chase to absolutely sit that E92 right up on the door of that S14.9 and they go across the line there. That is textbook chase driving there. Apart from that one little mistake there coming up into outer zone 2 where he just did a little bit of a stall up just to make sure he didn't fire too quick into the into that S14.9. We'll go back to the line, definitely. Brandon.
Yep, Fabian doing a great job in the lead though, so definitely nothing to take aback there as we have Greg now in the lead in that E92 Eurofighter. That thing is absolutely insane, and yeah, no, this is setting up to be a very, very good battle. Obviously Fabian doing a really solid lead, but now Greg has to do the same, and Fabian's got quite a bit of work to do in the chase as well. As the lights go green, we now have Greg. Oh, but we have a shutdown there from Greg. What happened there? Do we have a mechanical fault because it's not a restart? Is that potentially, could that be Greg out of the top 32?
I wonder did Greg take that really long run up because he didn't have a touch or something like that. Oh,
whoa!
We have a third entry from Fabian Drzinski. I'm thinking, did Greg Merlu have an issue with that car and that's why he took a very long run up to make sure he could get through? We will have to see what happens there. We wait for that info to come through. Hopefully But yeah, look at this from Fabian Dorzinski doing exactly what he needs. Maybe realize that Greg is not behind him. But yeah, look, doing exactly what he needs to do here. Just do the lead line. Don't worry about what's behind you. Get the head down, lock in, and just do that lead run as best as you can. Run the qualifying line. Obviously realizes here, oh, he's not behind me. He'll just check behind him here, look there, and realizes Merlu is not there, and decides to finish out the run with a backwards entry.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate end to this battle, and I really don't know. I'm really hoping. I'm absolutely gutted for Greg. It does seem like it is a mechanical, and unfortunately, that is part of the nature when you're pushing these cars to their limits. And as you see there, we're going to get an official result. Fabian moving on to the top 16. You see, it's where you really want to go in. Sadly, it is just the way things are. And we did have a lot of supporters for Greg in the chat as well. And it's unfortunate. But hopefully we'll see him stronger in round 2 and the car will be 100%. But now at the line, we have Samuel in that really nice looking E92, very, very clean looking livery. And we also have another BMW on the line. We can't get away from BMWs this weekend, it seems to be, with Kamil Horek in Oherki. Is it Horeki? I'm going to guess it's Horeki. Horeki, yes. Honestly, pronunciation is like my biggest nightmare. But we've got Horeki in the lead. We've got Samuel in the chase. Let's see what we can do with the BMW E8 versus the E92. Nice initiation, but Samuel's just nowhere to be seen so far as Horeki comes nicely into the midsection with a big transition into 2. But look at Samuel getting the proximity back. He found the door. He's got the chase in. He's locked into that door now as they transition around. Oh, but look at the proximity between the two of them as they come around into outside zone 6, pushing him around the last corner. Wow.
Yeah, look at this here. So as we break this down, we've got Horeki doing exactly what he needs to do here. Just do your lead line. Don't worry about what's behind you. And we have Samuel there just not having that proximity at the start of the run, but then he makes a huge dive here and gets right up onto the door of that E82, doing exactly what the judges want to see there. Wheel to wing mirror and coming around here into outer zone 4. What happened here? We transition back and I think we have wheel drops. Do we? We do. And we have some sort of tail light coming out the back there as well. So we then have Horeki missing outer zone 6 and running off track there. But I would like to see what was actually the cause of them going wide there.
We'll have to see. You mentioning about tail light potentially. We could have had Samuel just catching the rear of Horeki's car.
Yes, you could be right. Actually, that would explain a lot.
Yeah, they were very, very, very close, so it would not surprise me. Now we have Samuel in the lead with Kamil in the chase. What can these amazing drivers do as we have the lights go green? Here we go. Oh, just hitting the start line cone. And I do believe that now will be a restart. Yep, it is indeed. And this time we don't have any contact. So we'll just get them to switch back around. What's funny, I've just been holding a bit of blue tack, turning it into a cube. I put it on top of my PC while when we go to do that run, and then I put my arm on top of it and ruined my perfectly made cube. Honestly,
very
what
annoying.
Am I doing, Ian? Yeah, it's a little bit.
You don't have to restart your run again, so.
That is true. Well, no, technically they had to restart the run. I had to restart my cube. I think it might be the voodoo doll.
And as we line them up here
we go. So now we have someone back in the lead Camille in the chase. Nice big flick initiation there from Samuel. Coming around into the first corner, just missing out on outside zone 1 in the lead. But so far looking pretty solid. Maybe a bit of a dirt drop there as they come around into the chase isn't really to be seen though, but Samuel's not doing his best lead that he could do as he come around into the last corner, around outside zone 6 and across the line. Definitely not the strongest chase in this competition so far, but also not the strongest lead.
Absolutely, Brandon. As we break this down here, so we have out in the lead, missing outer zone 2 there, as we have Horeki trying to do his best to do, not Horeki, oh my god, trying to do his best there to keep up in the chase position, missing outer zone 2 there again. Coming around in the lead, doing an okay lead run here, dropping into that mid-section. That's what the judges are looking for. They're looking for them to jump into that middle section off track and then out to outer zone 4. As we come into the D cell here, we get that dive in the chase position here to try and make up some of that proximity, but I think it's a little bit too little too late, unfortunately, as they come across the line. A very scrappy run from both drivers there, not really what judges will be looking for, and will be, unfortunately, whoever's down to making more mistakes.
Definitely, but who will be moving on into the top 16 is Camille Horeki, moving on into the top 16. Unfortunately, Samuel's just not having enough to bring it to the show. So we'll be moving on into the next battle. And I can see 2 very gorgeous cars sat on the line there in the background. As you can see, we have that Mark 5 Supra. Oh, I love that thing so much. It is stunning. Very unfortunate end there for Samuel's weekend. Hopefully we'll see him in round 2. Nice and strong. Obviously, we are almost at the end of our the first half of the top 32 bracket, I do believe.
No, we have a couple of battles left.
Only a couple more.
Only a
but
couple
we do
more
have Michael
before we're
Reinhardt
halfway through.
From the Czech Republic, and I know there's a lot of Czech Republic fans in the chat today as well. We have this gorgeous Mark 5 Super piloted by Matthias Suski. Suski doing a really good job in qualifying, so we'll have to see if he can continue performing into this event. But look how much glare those headlights have. They must be very powerful to be doing that. But as the lights go green, here we go, Matthias Suski with Michael Reinhardt in the chase. Look at this from Michael Reinhardt though, but just has to straight down, straightens on the initiation and gets lost in the smoke. That is not what we wanted to be seeing, and I know he is not going to be very happy with that, but he's got to try and bring it back and bring some sort of heat to try and make Matthias make a mistake. But unfortunately, Matthias is just way too on the line, but he does make a dirt drop there, or should I say he drops outside of the zone. That is a very unfortunate start for Michael there.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit too much speed coming in. When he went to flick back initiation, the car caught grip and just forced him that straight again. So that brought him a little bit wide for Michael Reinhardt, as we have Matthias Suski doing a very good lead run here. All the way exactly what he needs to do in qualifying, doing that qualifying run, as we see Michael Reinhardt try get back up on the door of that Mark 5 Supra. Michael is actually a very quick driver. That E36 is incredibly fast, so you can see how quickly he does try to make up this proximity, but it is, unfortunately, like I said in the last battle, too little too late for Michael Reinhardt, as he cuts the track there and tries to get across and ends up straightening again. So Matthias Suski with a bit of an advantage there, I would say. Not doing anything wrong that I could see really too much in the lead, as we send them back to the line. Michael Reinhardt to lead out Matthias Suski.
Indeed, and this is the part where Reinhardt really has to put on his best lead he can physically get and hope that Suski does make a mistake in the chase. But obviously this is drifting, it's very unpredictable, so we'll have to see as we flip them around. That Mark 5 is so nice. It is a gorgeous looking car, running 1,000 horsepower as well. You can't go wrong with an A90. They are absolutely stunning. But then once again, one of the best looking BMWs ever known. And it's running 1,100 horsepower as well. So he's got 100 more horsepower than that Mark 5 Supra, which is absolutely insane to see. And now we have them on the line once again. And here we go. We're about to send them off down the straight for the second half of this battle. Michael Raha obviously at a massive disadvantage going into this half. So Suzuki doesn't really have to do much as he come around. A little bit of a drop there in outer zone 1, but manages to come back around. Just misses on outer zone 2 as well. And it's not the cleanest lead so far, but Suzuki doing a good job. Oh, but just straightens up again. Is he having issues with his car, potentially, if it's doing that multiple times? And as they come across the line, it just looks like Michael Raha is not getting along with his car right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Maybe a power issue for Mikael Reichardt. As they come through, let's have a look at this here. So Mikael doing a very tidy job to start this run. As he transitions back here now, he's extremely close to that inner cone, which forced him to transition a little bit earlier. And he does get on power early, which means he misses that outer zone 2. Getting through then, Mateusz Suzuki doing exactly what he needs to do here. Drop into the pocket. He knows that he has the upper hand here. And then you see Mikael Reichardt have that little bit of a straighten moment again. I wonder, is that something to do with the power in that car being intermittent? And Suzuki trying to adapt to that, coming around there. And Mikael Reichardt finishing out the run with Mateusz in chase. Yeah, definitely some sort of gremlins there for Mikael Reichardt, not sitting well with that car, or maybe something up deeper in that car that he did have some sort of issue there yesterday. I know that, but I'm not too sure. Is it raising his head again? So we do have a decision, and going through to the top 16 is Mateusz Suzuki, and Mikael Reichardt will bow out of competition in top 32, and we will see him back for round 2 next month.
Definitely. It is a very unfortunate way to end his weekend, but welcome to drifting. It is a very unpredictable sport, like we always say. It's good to see everyone in the chat supporting the series, having conversations. And yeah, let us know where you're from. Put your flags in the chat and let us know who you're supporting. As we have at the line now, we have Tomas Magdia in that incredible 190E Mercedes, which is just, whoo, it is something. I did just see in the chat, actually, someone mentioned he was changing the turbo before these battles, and ECU map has been struggling. So there is potential, yeah, so it does seem there is problems with this car, but we also have Victor Vetmark there in that incredible S15, oh sorry, S14-9. Honestly, it's so deceiving. But here we go, Tomas in the chase from Hungary, and the Swedish driver in the lead, Victor Vetmark. Here we go, two crazy looking cars. Big snappy initiation there from Victor as they come around, maybe a bit shy on outer zone 1, but bringing it around to outer zone 2, just missing it. But 190 is just nowhere to be seen in the chase so far as they come around to outer zone 4. Doing a lovely job for filling that in the lead as they come around into the last corner. Can they get a dive on the chase? He cannot. He can't find the pace. He can't find the door of that S14-9.
Yeah, so let's have a look here. That beautiful 190E chasing in that S14-9 of Vetmark. So kind of off outer zone 1 there is Vetmark, and that 190E of Thomas Magniar has to try deal with that. And it is cutting all of the track there to try get up on the door of the S14-9, really struggling for grip there, or struggling for speed really to get up on that S14-9. Like we said, these cars can, when they're set up right and have the grip dialed into them, they're extremely fast and extremely hard to deal with if you are lower on power or lower on grip. So even Victor Vetmark saying yesterday in qualifying in an interview, he's saying, yeah, I figured out this car. Last year he was having issues with grip levels. He didn't really assess the grip levels right. This year he has it properly figured out. So he has that car definitely dialed in this year. So Tomas having to deal with that, unfortunately. So we will swap them around and see what happens here, Brandon. As we wait for the line marshal to give our go ahead.
Definitely Victor looking very comfortable in that car, but unfortunately just not having the nicest of leads. Could have been deeper in some certain zones. So hopefully this is a chance for Tomas Magyar to get a bit of an advantage and do a better lead. But obviously it's all about how Victor does the chase as well. We'll have to see as they fire it down the main straight with that 190E in the lead. That S49 coming in the chase. So far so good, looking nice in outer zone 1, coming around now to 2. Getting a bit deeper there than Victor did in his lead as they come around. Lovely proximity being gained there as they come through out zone 4, transitioning into 5. Victor having to do a nice handbrakes and just almost making contact there as they come around and across the line.
Yeah, good job there from both drivers. Let's have a look. So initiating in, good angle through inner clip 1 and outer zone 1 as we transition around through the Manji section here. They will be on power, and as they transition back into this decel here, let's have a look. We see Vetemark kind of making a little bit of a bobble, trying to slow that car a little bit. Doesn't really know what that 190E will do as he starts to sit that car lovely into the pocket here now and really drive that S49 onto the door of Tomas. When they transition back here, back into the decel, we see Vetemark again have a little bit of a straight and a little bit of a moment there to get that car slowed down behind the 190E, and then they go across the line after outer zone 6. So let's have a look, see what the judges think. It's very difficult to tell with some of these battles who's at fault, who's not at fault, and really who's forcing mistakes or if they're just genuine mistakes from drivers. So we will see. We'll get both those guys out of the cars. They'll have a bit of a chat themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Look at the livery on Victor's car. I love the green accents on that. It is gorgeous. And I'm not taking anything away from the 190E. I'm just a massive S chassis fan, especially for S15s and 14.9s. There's just something about them that just really hits different for me. I'm very basic. But who's going to be moving on to the top 16? That is Victor Vetemark from Sweden going into the top 16. Unfortunately there for Tomas Magyar, just not being able to do enough to move on. As we have a nice looking view of the track. God, I really want to go there.
And the next battle we have on the line will be Maciej Jarkovic versus Bartosz Stolarski. So these guys both huge names in the sport. So Bartosz Stolarski, obviously that Drift Masters level driver. And then if we look at Maciej's car, everybody knows this car. The green S14 boss kit. It's that number 71 on the door. He is ready to go. He is only looking forward, getting to grips with that wheel, making sure everything's nice, ready to go for him in that cockpit. Stolarski just sitting there, door open, just fanning himself, getting himself to cool down as the lights go red, and the start line marshal will give the guys the go ahead to leave the line. Maciej Jarkovic to lead out Bartosz Stolarski here in the top 32 as we have initiation, and Jarkovic doing a very nice clean line as Bartosz Stolarski hits that cone out of the way and flies up onto the door of the Bosket S14, and a little bit of a check up there. Bartosz falls behind a little bit as they transition back into the decel zone. Bartosz going to try and make a dive here and just falls that little bit behind there. Brandon, what happened there?
I do think that there was just a little bit of a bubble going into outer 3, and it just upset the chase just a little bit. Obviously that is a very fast corner as well. As you're coming through the Manji section, you've got a little to yourself, but you still don't drop that much speed. And when you got to think with such a large sweeping corner, as you can see here as they transition through, he's got a lot of momentum, a lot of speed, and it is very, like, as you can see there, he probably wasn't on as much angle than he wanted to be, which then caused him to have to then check up and angle up more, and that obviously choked up the chase a little bit. So fluidity is the key for the lead, and that's what the judge is going to be looking for. And obviously that did slightly choke up the chase, so that could work against him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go back to the line here now and get the second half of this battle going. between these two beautiful S chassis, two very different S chassis, mind you, but S chassis nonetheless, as we see Magic's door open, talking to the start line marshal there, having a bit of a chat, asking what's going on.
Definitely.
Wait for our lights.
Magic's car is just absolutely insane. But obviously, nothing can be taken away from this awesome S15 piloted by Bartosz Stolarski. It is just an incredible car, incredible drivers. But obviously, there can only be one winner moving on to the next battle into the top 16. And obviously, these are two very talented drivers. As the lights go red, now we're going to send them once again two titans in the Polish scene. Coming around now as we send them down the main straight. Big initiation from that S15. The boss S14 kind of sitting a bit further back than he should be. So as we come around now in towards outer zone 2. Kind of a bit shallow on outside zone 2. Once again, as they come out. Oh, but he shuts it down in the chase. As they come around into outside zone 4, he's just going to have to finish this run. And unfortunately, I think that could be the end of the weekend for him.
Yeah, we'll have a look back at this. I think a little bit of just a small mistake there that caused a big mistake for Magic as they come through inner clip 1, just on the wider side of inner clip 1 through outer zone 1 here. You can see Magic goes to transition here, goes to make a very large drive onto Stolarski, and as they're coming in, cuts the track a little bit, and he has to put on a lot of power and forces himself up, which then just cannot carry that amount of angle and speed at the same time, and just forces himself off track. Stolarski finishing out that run, and Magic having to shut it down, unfortunately. So we will see what happens here with the judges. I believe that will be all she wrote for Maciej Jarkovic.
Sadly, I do think the same. I've just seen in the comments, someone says that we sound familiar. They're not sure what series that they heard us. And I mean, we come from the virtual scene, so if you've ever watched any of the virtual drift competitions, you probably might have heard us through there. But it's really cool to see that someone recognises our voices, even here. But unfortunately, Bartosz is going to be taking the win, not in the best way. Obviously, Magic's going to not be very happy with how that was, but obviously, they're good sports, both Polish national drivers, and yeah, it's honestly, what a battle between them. Big congratulations to the both of them, Bartosz, moving on into the top 16. Unfortunately, mistakes were made, and that is drifting.
Yeah, and that is our 5th place qualifier taken out in top 32 by Bartosz Stolarski, who qualified 28th. So qualifying is not exactly what will happen in the battles at all. So you can have a number 1 qualifier go against 32nd qualifier, and you can have the number 1 qualifier knocked out in the top 32 in their first battle of the day. So if you are watching qualifying, don't think that that's all she wrote for the weekend, because that is definitely not the case in drifting. So as we go back to the line here,
I've just seen in the chat that someone we've got people from Japan even talking in the chat as well, which is absolutely crazy. So it's we really appreciate everyone coming from all of these different countries. But obviously, we've got these two insane looking cars on the line. What do you reckon is going to happen here?
Absolute fireworks, carnage, collisions. Who knows? We have Kevin Verubel and Mikołaj Zarzewski here on the line as they leave the line through the start line chicane. Verubel absolutely spinning them tyres off the line there as they initiate into inner clip 1, into outer zone 1 as they transition back through the Manji section. Verubel knocking that cone away as they come through outer zone 2, around into outer zone 3. Back down to outer zone 4. Verubel is sitting on the door of that S14-9 there. It's an S15 rather. As they come through the decel, maybe a bit of contact there before outer zone 6 on the bank. Wow, Brandon, that was a quick battle.
Yep, both of these drivers going absolutely ham. Obviously, there was a bit of a gap that formed here, and obviously he has to make a bit of room to, as you can see there, that cone's just getting absolutely destroyed. But of course, he has to make a bit of a cut on the track to try and get the proximity back, but he does that very well, nice and smooth. And that's another thing that you need to think about, is not just getting proximity fast. You've got to be smooth, reel them in slowly. It does look way better for the judges, but you can see here transitioning into 5, just right there with him as they come around and they manage to finish off the run nice and tidy. Wow. Awesome stuff.
Super scenes there from both drivers doing a fantastic job in lead and chase. Kevin Vrubel on absolute rails at the moment, I think, though. He is here to make a name for himself. Qualified 21st yesterday, so we will see what he can do. There's Mikołaj Zaraszewski running 800 horsepower in that S15 as we wait for our start line marshal to give the go-ahead. The wheels are very, very nice, and Kevin Vrubel's car is very, very tastefully done as well. I'm a big fan of that. That looks unbelievable. I love the chrome. Chrome is very nice with the blue.
Yeah.
So we wait for our start line marshal to give the go-ahead. The red lights come on. He points at the lights, waiting for those lights to go green, and we have Kevin Vrubel leaving the line to lead out. Mikołaj Zaraszewski here as they initiate through into inner clip 1 around into outer zone 1, and Vrubel absolutely hammering the limiter on that E36 there as we have Mikołaj going door to door, coming through outer zone 2 and around into outer zone 4 here, transitions perfectly down into the decel zone, around the bank into outer zone 6. Wow, what a chase run from Mikołaj Zaraszewski there. Unbelievable stuff, Brandon.
That was absolutely incredible. Obviously, you can see here, has to get a bit of a jump through with shallow angle to get the proximity, but absolutely perfect through this multi-section. Does the perfect dive to get on the door. Like, look at that. Almost tapping him as he comes through in towards outside zone 3 and just manages to keep the proximity there, putting the foot down as they come around to 4. Like, it's just absolutely textbook as they come through into the last zone. Obviously, he loses a big round here as he comes into out of 5, but manages to slowly but surely reel him back in. Has to cut a bit of the track, but manages to get there, and he is present as they come across the line. That was an amazing bit of chase driving there.
Yeah, that battle for sure causing fireworks. I'm sure a lot of excited people in the grandstand and around the track there. I cannot believe some of them dives. They were so tight. Them transitions as well. This is what I was saying earlier. I've said it before, I'll say it again until I'm sick in the face. The timing of transitions on this track is everything. If you don't time it right, you're going to drop behind. And we do have a decision. And Mikołaj Zaraszewski getting the win here, knocking out Kevin Vrubel in top 32. So Zaraszewski moving into the top 16.
Awesome stuff there from Mikołaj. Just pushing that S chassis to where it needs to be. And
Brandon, that is the first half of this top 32 done.
Oh, so we're now going into the second half of the bracket. God, this is compared to semi-pro, this is definitely going to be quite a bit longer.
I don't think we're going to have voices at the end of this, Brendan. And
no,
by
we're
the
not,
end of this, I mean top 32. Like we will have no voice for top 16.
Oh no, definitely. That's what we're here for, though. We're all for it. It's good fun. It's a lot of excitement. And I've just seen a comment saying about how fun this course looks.
Hello.
Hello.
What you're doing here in Poland, and why Poland?
We heard about the DMP series, and we're very fond upon it, so we have to try it out.
First time on this track?
This is the first time, very first time.
So how do you like the Słomczyn?
Oh, it's good. It's more technical than it looks, but it's very fun to drive.
Every driver tells that it looks a little bit easy, but it's very tricky to ride, to drift here.
Yeah, it's all those banks and the way the line is set up, but it's rewarding when you get the line.
So what's the prediction for the round?
We were hoping to go to dial a bit more grip in the car in the training, but we just have a generator failing, so we only got one run in. So we have to pick our best guesses for the battles and just go for it.
Cool, then good luck.
Thank you.
Michał Reichardt z nami, cześć, dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
No jak się czujesz tutaj w Polsce po raz kolejny?
No, prvý raz s novým samochodem. Spalil se 2 týdny do tylu, jak to je do tylu správně? Spalili jsme samochod na závodách v Čechách, zpřebudovali jsme za 9 dní samochod do nového všicko a Teraz robimy tylko blendy, które zrobiliśmy przy szybkiej pracy. Takže wycieki, turbo se zepsuło i mamy dużo pracy.
Czekaj, w 9 dni zbudowaliście nowe auto.
Tak.
To jak jeździ auto, które się buduje w 9 dni? Dobrze się w nim czujesz?
Lepiej jak nic.
No dobrze, trzymamy kciuki zatem za driftingowe Mistrzostwa Polski. Powodzenia.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Samuel Mladenov with us. Hi.
Hi, hello.
Why Poland? Why DMP?
Because there is nice competition with very good competitors there, so it's challenging for me, and it's good opportunity to make some good.
But how the drifting scene looks on Czech and Slovakia?
We don't have cars like this on Slovakia. Like we have cars up to 500 HP and not that much competitors, so it's little bit low quality of drivers, and we are doing on it, and we can show Slovaks so we can drive also in Poland on big competitions.
But you have like a long tradition of the rally cars, yeah? Because you have trucks, you have, you know, like a lot of motor events, but drifting it's not so popular?
I'm not sure if we have a lot of events.
For sure more than in Poland.
No, for sure no. We have only one ring in Slovakia, and drifting is just new sport.
So, the DMP, what's the prediction for the first round?
Prediction for the first round is test the car, because I'm sitting in the car like for second time in my life. It's completely new build. I was driving with cars that have 170 HP and these have 800, so it's challenging for me, but it's really good challenge for me.
Then good luck and have fun.
Thanks. Good luck. Goodbye.
And there you have it,
So-
some lovely interviews there from some of our grid drivers. Absolutely loving it out here at this amazing course. Obviously, a lot of new builds involved as well. And Kian, yeah, they're on good spirits.
Yeah, Mikkel Reichardt probably just going through his car there after that little bit of a hiccup he had. I think that might have been filmed before that battle, but you see Anderson Mads there talking. We have him up just after our next battle. Talking about all of his experiences with DMP, why he chose DMP, and why wouldn't you choose DMP? Look at the standard of driving we have here today. It is unbelievable, the battles that we've seen already. We're only halfway through top 32, Brandon. We're already losing our voice. This is incredible. So when we go back to the line here, we have Jakob Kroll versus Matthias Fiau. This is gonna be fireworks. This is gonna be huge. Matthias Fiau looking to prove himself here in this pro class, and Jakob Kroll, the veteran, the man running that FMIC EU S14.9, ready to absolutely shred some tires off the back of that. So we will wait for the start line marshal to go ahead. Brandon, let's talk us
Here
through this
we
one.
go. Jakob Kroll in the lead with Fiau in the chase. Two incredible looking cars, both very gripped up. Nice flick initiation between two of them. But look at Fiau right there with Jakob Kroll in the chase. Lovely transition between the two of them. Maybe just falling a bit behind there. Jakob Kroll trying to keep the car on the line without dropping. Lovely stuff so far between the two of them, getting the proximity back as they transition now into out of zone 5. But coming up short is Fiau in that GT86, unfortunately, as Jakob Kroll hits out of zone 6. Lovely and across the line.
Yeah, let's have a look at this one. So Jakob Kroll not doing a whole pile wrong in the lead lane here as they both initiate. Really good tight initiation from both drivers. Good proximity from the chase driver of Fiau. When they transition back here, there's a little bit of a gap forming, so they go to transition back here. And we actually see Jakob Kroll have maybe a little bit of a straight in there, a little bit of a hiccup, as he does go very wide to that outer line. Fiau does make up some proximity in that GT86 as they fly down towards outer zone 4 here. When they transition back here though, this is where we saw a bit of an issue. Fiau coming off outer zone 4 a little bit early, and when they transition back, has a bit of a straighten, has a bit of a moment here, misses outer zone 5. Jakob Kroll decides to just keep going, fill out outer zone 6 across the line. Fiau having a big mistake there in the latter half of that run.
For sure, it's going to be an interesting one going into the second run. Obviously, Jakob's got the advantage, I'd say, just based off of his lead. Maybe had a drop going towards out of 3, but we'll have to see what the judges think. It's just got to be a bit cleaner in the chase, and it should be a fairly simple victory for him. As we wait for them on the line here. Mathieu's doing a very nice job in that GT86. That thing is gripped up to the max as well. As you can see, both of these cars, 2 incredible drivers, is just going to be absolutely insane as the lights go green. Here we go, Mathieu's in the lead with Jakob in the chase. Nice clutch kick initiation from Mathieu's. Lots of speed, lots of angle, but unfortunately missing outside zone 1. All of the speed that he needs, but unfortunately the car's just not placed in the right spot as they come around for outside zone 2. Doing a good job, outside zone 4. Doing a very nice job though as they go through 5 and now hitting 6, but unfortunately Mathieu's just not right. He's not on the correct line, and he's just, unfortunately, that was not the tidiest run.
Yeah, so not the tidiest run from either driver here. So a little bit of a gap here straight off the bat with initiation. Obviously we have Mathieu's missing outer zone 1 there. Jakob Kroll not really knowing what to do with that information. He's kind of straight the whole way through that Manji section nearly as they go back through outer zone 2 there. Fiao smoking out the rear of that GT86. Kroll just following along, mimicking the lead, seeing what he can do. Not a whole pile of smoke coming from the back of that car as we see them transition back down to the decel zone here. Big flames shooting out the back of Fiao's car. Kroll having to make some adjustments here because Fiao has gone so far inside. So I don't know if Kroll wasn't confident behind Fiao or if he was having issues himself, but that was not a good run from either driver as we get the win here for Jakob Kroll moving through to the top 16. And we have Fiao dropping out of top 32. Very good weekend from Matheus Fiao in that GT86. Really one to watch for the future. And Jakob Kroll...
So the deciding factor was a big mistake from Mateusz on his chase run when he was like really diving in hard on the last corner. If we look on the mistakes from Kuba, his deceleration was not that precise, the first deceleration before the big corner. Then they made their second run, and Mateusz was really inside on the inside clip. He was running the curb, then he was not reaching the outer zone 1, which is setting up the pace for the whole run. And then Kuba needed to catch up all the time, and we were not counting that as a mistake for the first half of the track. And then there was that wheel off. There was actually 2 wheels, but the 2 wheels were behind the finish line, so we were still counting it only as 1 wheel off. But still, it was enough to give the win to Kuba Kroll.
And there you have it. So there is the reasoning behind that battle. Definitely going to be interesting for the rest of this bracket.
So on the line, we should have Anderson Mads and Dominic Kerr, but we are not seeing a Dominic Kerr on the line. So Dominic Kerr maybe not making it to the top 32. Anderson Mads a little bit confused there in that Eurofighter, waiting for his competitor to show up. I think we will just be sending them here on the line. Yep. Anderson Mads gets the red light, and he is going to get a bye run here in the top 32 into the top 16. So he's going to make a pass the circuit, put a show on for the fans maybe as he flicks into that initiation. Does inner clip 1, outer zone 1. Will he shut it down? He will. Yeah, save that car for top 16 action. Don't put any more unneeded force onto the car. He just needs to complete the first corner so to show he can initiate and get that car through the rest of the track. So he'll take the win on that. He'll pass through to the top 16. Dominic Kerr dropping out. Not really sure what's happening there with Dominic. Maybe he had some sort of car issue, probably. So hopefully we'll see him back for round 2 in that Opel GT. I do really, really like that car. To see Jakob Kroll replay getting through that first 2 clips there, completing that corner, securing himself that top 16 finish at minimum. So
yeah, definitely
move on.
And unfortunate that Dominic couldn't be there to compete. I'm guessing he had mechanical issues, but unfortunately, that just seems to be the biggest problem in drifting is cars like to break before you can even compete.
Yeah, and we will move to our next battle in the top 32. We're going through to our Heat 11, I believe. It's Alexander Fiau versus Marcin Neyman. So, another Fiau on the line here. Different car altogether. We're looking at an S13 hatch here as opposed to GT86 of her relative there. And we have Marcin Neyman in the BMW F22 making about 700 horsepower. Brandon, let's talk us through this one.
Definitely, we've got two very interesting drivers. Obviously, we got Alexandra representing the female scene of the drifting community, which is really, really cool to see. And now we get to see them going absolutely ham. But look at this initiation, very fast but very shallow onto inner clip 1, but manages to get into outer clip 1 quite nicely there as they come around to outer clip 2. Alexandra kind of there but not quite that close in the chase so far. Maybe down to how that initiation was, but we'll have to see as they come around into the last transition to out zone 5. Looking pretty good between the two of them, but obviously Alexandra just not in the right spot for the chase.
Yeah, let's have a look at this one now. So as they leave the line here, we've got the drone shot telling us everything here. Yeah, having a little bit of a gap here. She initiates slightly later than that F22 BMW of Marcin Neyman. They come through the power alley here, through that Manji section, transition back. Yeah, just not having an answer here for Marcin as they power around Alexandra, trying to get that 200SX up onto the door of the F22. Really not having an answer here for him at all. As we come down into the decel zone, Alexandra does try to make a dive here. And you can see she does drop quite far into the center of the track. Even Marcin is as well. So we will see how this goes in the second half of this run. Will Marcin actually go for everything here, or will he take a little bit of a backseat, let Fiau do her thing? I'm not too sure what is going through his mind here now at the moment, Brandon, but you're going to talk us through this second run here, I think.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those where Martin's lead wasn't the best, so we'll have to see. But Alexandra's chase was also to be desired, so we'll have to see what both of these do. Obviously, Martin looking like the Stig on that little preview of him right there. As if you don't know who the Stig is, oh god, British culture that is. But that's irrelevant for now. As they initiate in towards inner clip 1, doing a nice job so far. Alexandra looking very solid in her lead so far, as they come around to the big sweeper now, coming through outside zone 3. The chase is just kind of not there as well. Once again, as they come around into outside zone 5, just a big gap forming here as they come around 6. Lovely stuff in the lead though from Alexandra as they come across the line.
Yeah, very good lead line here from Alexandra Fiau. One or two little bobbles coming around the big sweeper there, but let's have a look at what happened here in the chase. So Marcin having a very good initiation, putting himself in a good position in this transition, tries to make a dive coming into the big outer zone 2 here, starting off the big sweeper corner. Alexandra has a little bit of a bobble there, has a little bit of cut off angle, and brings the angle back on then and just puts foot to floor and brings that 200SX around towards outer zone 4. Marcin not actually getting a huge amount of power down, maybe not getting that speed that he was hoping to get out of that transition to make the dive, as Alexandra finishes out this run rather perfectly, I might add. Absolutely painting the white lines black and crossing the line. Marcin having a bit of a disaster in his chase there. He had a very nice upper hand there, I would have said, going into that second run. We will see what the judges make of it now in just a second when the scores do drop in. They will deliberate this one. I think we could be even maybe looking at it one more time maybe. We will have to see what the judges make of it. As you can see, our next battle lining up behind them there as the two guys get out of the car. Or Alexandra does anyway. She gives a bit of a wave to the crowd there. And Marcin does jump out of the car eventually. And they will have a bit of a congratulations, a little bit of a chat. And Yeah, judges definitely deliberating this one, Brandon.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of things to be looking at, and obviously the judges want to be making the correct call, so they've got to take their time, check all the angles, and just make sure that the call is correct, because obviously this is all down for points as well. They do pay good money to be in these championships, and they want to make sure that they're being judged fairly. So that is the role for the judges, is making sure everyone has the correct calls. And as you can see there, having a great time as
So
we wait for the result.
Alexandra Fiao getting the win. So Marcin Neyman dropping out of competition there in the top 32. Alexandra taking the win there for the women in drifting, getting through to the top 16 there. So the ladies having a very good day in drifting here today in Poland at Słomczyn. We had in the semi-pro as well today, the women having another good run there as well. So we will see her in top 16. Magdalena getting a very good top 4 finish.
I'm pretty sure Magdalena got... Was she 4th? Was she 3rd? See, this is the thing I was saying earlier. I've got a mind of a goldfish, and it's coming out again. Oh, I can't escape it. But we have Pavel Huchek in that full, crazy-looking 350Z, which is a chassis you don't really see in competition drifting anymore. And it's nice to see someone still running it.
Yeah, a lot of them are being used as trainer cars nowadays, and a lot of guys starting to use them. I mentioned it yesterday in qualifying, I think. We have the Shanahans using them religiously at the moment in Ireland as a test car. A lot of guys over in the US using them as practice cars and training cars. Very good chassis for training.
Definitely. But now we have Orest in the lead in that S14. A very cool looking livery on that S14 as well. Lots of detail in that. One thing I do love about drifting is how many details people put into these cars and make it all their personal touch.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we wait for the start line marshal to give the go-ahead there to our drivers, make sure everybody's ready, make sure the track is clear, and you can see our sponsors there on the side of the track: Toolmex Truck, Merlo, Tiski 00, representing and supporting us, and Motul as well, along with Red Bull, supporting DMP, helping us bring this live stream and this championship to you guys.
Definitely, but here we go. We've got Orest in the lead, Pavel in the chase. Lights are green, they're sending them down the main straight. Lots of speed. Big initiation between the two of them. Orest doing a bit of a better job, coming out a bit quicker. But as they come around into out 2, doing a lovely job in the lead there in that S14 with the 350 in tow, trying to get that proximity closer and closer as he reels them in bit by bit. Can he get closer in that last zone? I don't think he can. He just manages to scrape across and across the line.
Yeah, let's have a look at this here now. So Pavel doing a very good job here to chase in that S14 here. So good lead run here from Orest. Not really putting a foot wrong up until this point. And we can see Pavel absolutely trying to make ends meet here just to get up to the door of that S14, having to cut some corners, cut some angle. Orest doing a phenomenal job in the lead there, as Pavel just trying his best to get that 350Z up onto the door there. We come down into the D cell here. We see Pavel making that dive. Orest gets back on power and just pulls away ever so slightly again. Pavel trying to cut some line there, as Orest does cross the line with Pavel in tow.
Yep, that was definitely a decent first run. Obviously, there's still a lot to be said as we move into the second half of the battle, as is anyone's game still. It is never the end until it's over.
Yeah, so we will wait for the start line marshal to give the go-ahead again as we cool down Pavel's car. I'm sure that car is getting very hot. There's not a whole lot of car there, so as he gives a thumbs up to the guys saying it's cool enough, let me go. I want to do my lead run.
Yeah,
And
definitely. Here we go. The lights go red. Now they go green. That S14 chasing in the 350Z. What can we see between these two? Big flick initiation there from that lead driver as they come around, just missing 2 though. There's a lot of grip from the looks of this in this 350, but it doesn't seem to be working out right. But Oris spins in the chase. What happened there? Did he just hit did he go too deep and then hit the marbling and spin? I'm not too sure. We'll have to see
I
in the
believe
replay.
so. I believe he ran a bit wide onto them marbles out on the outer edge of the track here. We will get the drone footage to see and tell us what happened there. So, good initiation from both drivers. RS doing a very tidy job to initiate in behind that 350Z. He doesn't really know how quick he's going to be. Pavel does end up missing that outer zone 1 as they fly into outer zone 2 here. Let's see what happens to RS. He comes in on a lot of angle. That does drift him wide, but he is already spinning out before he hits the outer edge of the zone of the corner there. So I wonder, did he just put on too much angle and too much power too quickly? Trying to get into the pocket there on that 350Z, but Pavel finishing out the run very, very nicely and not having to do a whole lot there, just doing his normal lead run as he would in any qualifying session. That's all the judges want the lead drivers to do, so Pavel doing exactly that, and we will see what the judges make of that one. I think it's a pretty clear-cut call for this battle. We will just get confirmation for that as we look at the lovely Słomczyn track. I believe it is quite hot there now. You can see the sun's out, track will get hot with all that rubber being laid down. There will be a lot of grip there for everybody as the guys give us a bit of a wave, a bit of a clap. And we will get confirmation now, I believe, for our driver going through. We will. And going through is Orest. Orest getting the win there, apparently, according to our graphics here.
Definitely.
So,
I think we're going to be getting a judge's opinion on that, potentially.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's definitely something there that we didn't see.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get some sort of information here, hopefully, as we move it along to our next battle here on the line. We do have Łukasz Toszymski versus Zadnek. I can't even, you're going to try pronounce that second name. I will get better for round 2. I promise. I'm going to go do a lot of research on this. But yeah, we have Toszymski running them extreme tires, very soft compound tire, very, very grippy tire. So we're expecting to see a very, very fast run here.
Definitely, that S14 looking absolutely crazy. Obviously, you've got that E30. I almost did it again. That E46 in chase. Honestly, kid, I got absolutely rinsed last night for that after we finished up.
Yeah, I'm just glad you made a mistake and not me. Anyway, as we send these guys from the line, the lights go green, and we have Łukasz Toszymski to leave out Zadnek here in that E46 as they initiate in. Zadnek pushing hard up onto the S14 as they transition through the Manji section here, come down onto outer zone 2 as they fire both those cars around the outer edge. A little bit of a gap forming here between the two drivers. Outer zone 4 taken well by that S14 as they come into the decel and around the bank corner. A bit of a gap formed there between both drivers and Brandon. That was an interesting one. It looked like we were going to have a very close battle there, and then that gap just started to form.
Yes, definitely. Fortunately, the harder you push in the chase, the more likely you can make mistakes. And obviously, this S14 has got a lot of pace on it, so he's having to push very, very hard. As you can see, as they get back onto throttle, it's also down to the timing of when you get back onto throttle. If you get onto throttle after the lead car, it does tend to be the case where you just get left behind, and that seems to be the case going through to outside zone 3 to 4. And obviously trying to get that proximity back is the hardest part, and getting that here is not the easiest either. So it's unfortunately, it's all the timing of getting back onto throttle.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will get these guys back to the line. Might have to cool down the cars a bit. It is looking quite warm there as we go back down to the modal start line. we will wait for our start line marshal to give the word to the guys. We'll get the red light, and then we will get a green light. And we'll send these guys down. That Q8 Oils Kebs S14 there of Lukasz Taszemski, as he waits patiently for the line. He gives a little bit of a high five to the camera as we look around to Zadnek's car, that lovely E46. That looks like an E36 according to Brandon.
Hey, leave it.
Zadnek doing a very patient job here as he waits, locked in, looking at the start line marshal, waiting for them lights. As you can hear, the cars click into gear. We have red lights, and we wait for the green, and there they are. Zadnek to leave the line, towing out Lukasz Taszemski as they enter into the first corner. Nice and tight between the two drivers here as they manage through this section up into outer zone 2. Around into the big sweeping corner, and Taszemski trying to cut some angle, cut some line here just to get onto the door of that E46. Zadnek is got a bit of angle there, coming through outer zone 4 as they come around the bank and through outer zone 6. Taszemski brings it back onto the door of the E46. Brandon, this is unbelievable. What will the judges make of this, do you think?
Definitely not too shabby. Could have been a bit closer going on the initiation there. Obviously, lead doing a solid job so far. As you can see, coming through the Margie section, doing exactly what he has been asked of. Getting through outer zone 2 perfectly there, setting up for a lovely line into 3. Obviously, the chase having to cut a bit of angle, cut a bit of proximity of line as well to get towards the proximity, which is not really what the judges want to be seeing. You shouldn't need to sacrifice your line and angle to get the proximity if you are in the right spot. As you can see here, as they come around, it's almost a bit of a switch over to the previous run. It's going to be an interesting one. I could see this going OT.
Yeah, judges going to have to do a lot of deliberating on this one, I think, to make sure the guys get out of the cars, they have a bit of a hug, have a bit of a chat about how that run went for each of them, and we do have a decision here. And the winner is Lukasz Taszemski, getting the win, going through to the top 16. And we will see Zadnek back for round 2 in a month's time.
Definitely, but now we have a very interesting battle coming up with Kuba Paszonski, or Jakub Paszonski, in the lead with Victor Anderson in the chase. And this is going to be a special battle. Two 8.6 chassis, one a bit newer, one a bit older, but two very, very talented drivers. Obviously, Kuba being one of Poland's golden boys in drifting. He's also got many different motorsport accolades as well. Kuba's very, very experienced in motorsport and just loves going fast. So here we have that awesome GT86 with Victor Anderson in the driver's seat from Sweden with 650 horsepower. As we move along over now to Jakub Paszonski's awesome GR86, who has just had a refresh for Drift Masters, and as you can see, that car is absolutely insane. Lots of power, and it is dialed in. They've spent a long time getting the setup the way it is, and he has been on fire so far this season. As we have the lights go red, here we go. Jakub Paszonski in the lead with Victor in the chase. Let's see what happens here as we go down the main straight. Ooh, Victor almost just getting caught, but making contact against Kuba. Getting way too close on that initiation, not giving Kuba any room to get onto angle. Not the best way to start this battle, I'm not gonna lie. Victor's just getting a bit too aggressive.
I think just getting a bit too aggressive is not wanting to give Paszonski an inch there. On initiation, and as he wiggles that car, just make sure the front end of that GT86 is okay. We will send them back to the line there. I think, let's have a look at this. So yeah, he comes over towards the lead lane. They're actually, yeah, so comes over to the lead lane as Kuba goes to flick the opposite direction, and as that happens, backs out, and then when he goes to initiate, then he's so close, and Kuba doesn't gain enough speed as quick as Anderson would have thought. So not really anything Kuba could do there, unfortunately, I don't think. So we will get them back to the line and see what's going on here. If there's any damage to Kuba's car or Anderson's car, we might have to have a competition timeout, but only if for the driver who is not at fault. So we will see if there's anything that needs to be done there. Hopefully
Definitely.
not. Hopefully it's just a little bit of damage panel-wise. We do not have the guys on the line yet, so I would presume we could be getting a competition timeout here. So
I think I can see them. Yeah, I can see them in the back there, just at the start of the gridding area. So potentially Victor. Obviously, Victor knows who he's against. Jakob's not a slouch in any form. He is a very big heavy hitter, so he's got to try and take him out as early in the competition as he can get if he wants to move on. And I think knowing that, he went to push harder than he needed to. But we've got them now back of the line, switched around, ready to go again. Hopefully we can make it through the first corner this time. We have Victor Anderson in the lead. We've got Jakub Paszonski in the chase as we just await our start line marshals to get things underway. Obviously, two very similar chassis. And to be fair, two very similar drivers. They are very aggressive drivers and they have a lot of style, so I'm very excited to see what they do with this next run. But it looks like we're just waiting on a little thing to be done. I'm not too sure what is happening right now.
As you can see, Słomczyn here absolutely swamped with people and tents and stands. So if you are in attendance, go have a look at some of the guys parked up around the pits and some of the car shows there as well. There's a lot of little things to do in that area.
Definitely, as we now have them at the line. God, commentary really takes it out of you, don't it? My voice is so sore so far. We're not even in the top 16. But we now have Jakub Paszonski in the chase with Victor Anderson in the lead. Obviously, Jakub knows exactly what he needs to do. There's nothing too crazy he needs to do. Or is he going to be there from the get-go? Look at this. He's right on the rear bumper, rear quarter, as they come around into outer zone 1. Lovely stuff so far from Victor Anderson in the lead, but Jakub is right there doing what he needs to do. That Red Bull driver and All-in Oil driver doing exactly what he needs to do in the chase as they come around into outside zone 5, coming around towards outside zone 6. Lovely calculated chase there from Jakub.
Yeah, Jakub, knowing that he probably has an advantage there coming into this, so gives him a bit of space, gives him a bit of room, enters in nice and tentatively behind that GT86 of Anderson. When they come around here in the outer zone 2, Anderson filling that zone quite nicely, come through the Manji section here, back onto outer zone 2. You can see Kuba just doing enough, stay within about a car length of him, just stay in proximity. He knows that he has an upper hand here, so he can afford to have a little bit less proximity. He doesn't want to be putting too much strain and stress on the car, so he will do just what's needed to get across the line and finish off this battle. So we will go back to the line as we finish out this replay and see what happens here. We can see Carolina Pilarczyk in our next battle. They're going to be lining up as we have the two guys out of the car. And we will wait for the decision to come through. We have it through, and getting the win is Kuba Paszonski, getting the win in that GR86. And Victor Anderson coming out of competition there. He will be out and will be back for round 2. So Paszonski getting the win there. Very, very nice driving from him. Very intelligent driving from him. Sometimes in drifting you do have to be just a little bit playing the safe game, not going too wild with it. As we move on to our next drivers here, we have Valtteri Shevlov versus Carolina Pilarczyk. As we move down, and there we go, that T-Mobile pink S15 of Carolina, as she gets ready to click that car into gear and go down the initiation. She will be chasing in Valtteri Shevlov here in this lovely, lovely orange S13, very orange. So representing that number 130 is Shevlov from Ukraine. As we click both cars into gear, 900 horsepower versus 1,000 horsepower. What will happen here? Shevlov leaves the start line chicane as Carolina follows them down as they initiate through. Carolina not getting right up on the door of that 180SX, and now she is. She's right there through the Manji section, knocking over one of them cones as she starts the little bit of a gap, and then she gets back into the proximity window there of that S13 as we start to shed some body panels on the front of that S13. Carolina doing a very nice job towards the end of that, a little bit of a gap forming maybe, but we will see what happens here. Let's have a look back at this here. So Carolina nicely, and Shevlov actually missing inner clip 1 there and going a little bit wide of outer zone 1. As we transition back, we have Carolina hitting that cone ever so slightly, knocking it over, and she makes a big dive up, missing that outer zone 2. Shevlov running that outside zone there, maybe dropping a wheel ever so slightly off the edge of track there. Carolina doing a very good job to deal with the little bits of mistakes. As we transition back down towards the decel zone, this is usually where you'll see chase drivers make a bit of a dive, and you can see that Carolina cuts a bit of angle there, but manages to just keep the car from not going too far towards that orange S13 of Shevlov. As we bring it back to the line, as we see a lovely little drone shot here of our Autodrom Słomczyn, our area for the weekend, as we just wait for the start line. And we do, yeah, body panels, I was right, the body panels there shedding off Shevlov's car. Shevlov. Sorry, that's pronunciation. I am terrible at this. I will get better. But they will probably just tape that quarter panel back up. Just that wheel arch falling down there. Wasn't even any contact. That arch just decided, you know what, I'm not part of this car anymore. I'm gonna take a walk. Carolina with that lovely T-Mobile livery and the little dog on the side of it. It's very nice. As the guys run some self-tappers down through into the wheel arch of that S13, tape it up. It's man's true best friend there. And we will just make sure that that whole car is safe. No body panels are going to fly off in the middle of the run. And we get the thumbs up there from the marshal, and we get that car clicked into gear. We'll get the marshal to give thumbs up to both drivers, get the red lights on, and we wait for the green as in 3, 2, 1. Here we go, green light. Carolina Pilarczyk off the line through the start line chicane as Shevlov goes to follow her in, and a big entry from Shevlov behind Carolina as they fire through the Manji section here. Lovely, lovely transitions here from Shevlov. Carolina doing everything in her power to try to run away from that orange S13, but she cannot shake Shevlov as they come down into the decel zone. Shevlov right there on the door of Carolina. What a run. Wow, Shevlov having an absolute blinder of a chase run there. Carolina not able to shake him away. Let's have a look at this now as we go through inner clip 1 here. Shevlov giving her a bit of room just to see what kind of speed she has. And as they transition back, this is where he goes on attack mode, goes on kill mode, transitions back, times it perfectly as he can get that huge dive up onto the sweeper here as they both put the power down. You see the tire smoke start to develop from the back of both of them cars, and Shevlov starts to reel her in nice and slowly here as they come through outer zone 4. Transition back here, and this is where Shevlov really makes the big dive and really makes a good job of controlling the excess speed there, and right on wheel to wheel action here from Shevlov. Carolina maybe going a little bit wide as she goes across the line there, but we will see what the judges make of this one. What a battle we have here as both drivers get out of the cars. They'll go congratulate each other on a job well done. That was unreal from both of them. And we wait for the judges' decisions to come in. And they're having a bit of fun. Karolina obviously been around for a number of years in this championship, in the Polish scene of drifting. Beautiful, beautiful car, always running that kind of big pink livery. Shevlov, Ukrainian driver, that lovely orange S13. I'm a big fan of that kit. I love the sleepy eyes with the LEDs. It's very similar style to what we have here in Ireland. So we will wait for the judges. They're deliberating this a little bit, obviously, but we will see what the judges think. As you can see, our next battle is lined up there behind us. That is the last battle of the top 32. Behind them, it's Piotr Kozłowski and Krzysztof Jozwiak on the line there behind us as we wait for the decision between Pilarczyk and Shevlov. So this top 32 has been very, very entertaining. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And we do have a decision. And getting the win is Valtteri Shevlov. Getting the win, going through to the top 16. And Karolina dropping out of competition in the top 32. And we will see her back for round 2 as we move it back down to the line here for our last battle of top 32. So we will see Piotr Kozłowski and Krzysztof Jozwiak on the line. Jozwiak to give chase to Kozłowski as we just wait for everybody to be ready, judges to be ready, track staff to be ready, and our drivers, most importantly, to be ready. And we can see our cameraman down there as he has a look at Jozwiak's car. You can see him, Krzysztof, locked in there, ready to go. As we look at Kozłowski's car, those twin turbochargers sticking out of the bonnet of that car, making a lot of power, is Peter. So
you can't go wrong with that.
It just looks
so good. You can't go wrong with Peter's car. With Krzysztof's also got a really cool looking M2. It's just, oh, what a combo between these two cars. But Peter coming in with a crazy looking car, nice flick initiation there. Coming around to outside turn 1, doing a solid job so far in the lead as it comes around to 2, maybe a bit shallow, but look at this in the chase in that M2, going absolutely crazy, almost three-wheeling around that corner as they come into the decel. Look at the proximity there from the chase driver as they come across the line, not too shabby.
Yeah, let's break this down. So Jozwiak to chase in Kozłowski. Kozłowski does a really nice initiation. There's a little bit of a gap there from Jozwiak as they come through outer zone 1, but Jozwiak makes that dive on the first transition and the second transition here to get that speed and get up onto the door of that S15 with the twin turbochargers sticking out of the bonnet. And look at this proximity here, absolutely clinical from Krzysztof as he goes around the rest of this sector as they come down into the decel. He does make another bit of a dive here, does go a little bit wide and does manage to keep it on the door in the pocket of that S15. What a battle we have on our hands here as we will move it back to the start line. We'll get both our drivers back down there, get the track clear. We do have a bit of wind here today, as you can see those flags of our sponsors moving in the wind. So smoke is clearing very, very quickly. Peter Kozłowski, 1000 horsepower F15 with those twin turbochargers coming out of the bonnet. We've got Krzysztof Jozwiak making only 650 horsepower in that M2. So a bit of a power difference here as well. And that power difference, and he still managed to put it on the door of Kozłowski. So we can see what Kozłowski has as an answer here as we lead the line through the start line chicane. Enter in nicely here. Kozłowski not leaving that gap that was left in the first run as they transition here into the big outside zones, and not as close as we had in the first run here, putting some track biz, Peter, as we go down into the decel and get around through outer zone 6 and across the line. That was not as clear cut as I was expecting. So we have a few mistakes here in the chase. Now we will see what happens here. This might be an easy decision for the judges, as we do have proximity here, but you can see the timing on the transition there for Piotr Kozłowski not really ideal, and the M2 just running away. Krzysztof just getting that little bit of extra speed on the way out. Kozłowski trying to reel him in slowly there as they come into the D-cell. He doesn't really make a huge amount of a dive here, and by the time he gets up or even close to making it into the pocket, that M2 is across the line, and that's all she wrote for this battle. So we will go back down to the decision area, where we will have both our drivers in there, and we will get our marshal to give us our decision. That's it. That's our last battle of the top 32 and getting the win. We don't have a win. We have a one more time here for the drivers. So we will go one more time in this top 32 battle. So they will go get tires and they will go get ready really, really quick, and they will get back to the line as quick as possible. So we might have a little bit of a lapse in track time here while we wait for these guys to just get tires on their car, and we will head back.
Yep, this is looking very interesting. Obviously, one more time, making this a very interesting way to finish the top 32. So we'll have to see what happens when we get them back onto the track and switch them around.
We've met once again because we took yesterday 97 points on the qualification. It's your first time here in Słomczyn?
Yeah, it's my first time on this track, and it actually flows really well. So I think most of the drivers are really enjoying it.
But the drivers are saying it looks a little bit easy, but it's very tricky track to drive and to drift.
What I've come to know is that in the past, the clipping points were in slightly different location, and this year the judges, they've done some changes, and I think not this year. Like this year, it flows very well. You pretty much, if you nail initiation and you hit the first outer zone, everything else just comes in line and it flows well.
Yesterday you told us that this is the last breath of your car, but after the top 32, we didn't saw that.
Yeah, well, we spent a full night working on it, and we've done some changes that maybe is going to let it last a bit longer. Fingers crossed, we really don't know what's going to happen at this point.
So after what we saw on the track, can you feel like really comfortable to go to the finals today?
Actually, we had a small crash in practice today, and our rear subframe is slightly bent, so it's driving a little bit weird, but once you're in the zone, really these small things won't matter as much anymore.
We have around 50 drivers in the Pro Series. How you feel to be here? How you feel about the atmosphere on DMP?
Well, I asked around a couple of judges from the events that I've been to around Europe about where is the best competitive vibe to get more and more experience driving in Europe. And pretty much everyone agreed that DMP is your best spot. So I'm glad that I'm here, and yeah, the level of driving is very high, and I think it's really good practice for me to get a lot of experience.
Did you saw the next round's tracks or not yet?
No, actually, I haven't seen this track until I came, so one step at a time, I would say.
So I hope you will have fun in Kielce, because there is. Oh, I will not tell you everything. So we'll meet on the second, third, and fourth round. Good luck in top 16.
Yeah, hopefully everything will go well in top 16, and we move on to the next. And good luck to everyone.
And we are back there hearing from Nazar Al-Halbali, having a very good weekend thus far, having his top 32 won. He top qualifying as well, a 97-point run, not being able to see. Didn't even see the track till he got there. That is unbelievable thing to see. As we wait for our one more time to come back to the line, we can see the Słomczyn track. Everybody filtering out into the paddock area. You can have a look there. You see everybody's tents, the little car show there. And we'll have a look around there. We'll have a look We can see some attractions and some very nice show cars, some supercars around there. We had some bikes I saw there earlier on yesterday as well. Do call down to the guys pits, buy their merch, get their posters, support them. They are the reason that we can even do this championship.
If we look on that battle, we are having two drivers with very, very similar driving style. They're both aggressive, they're all about the speed, and they're having some small mistakes with the zones. They're not fulfilling the zones completely, like deeply, how we are looking for, but they are really about the speed and the style in their runs. So if we look on the both lead runs, and I will check my notes, we can see that Piotr was having 2 times wheel off. However, he was slightly deeper in the zone, so this is like quite evening out. So if we look on the both lead runs, very similar. And then if we look on the chase runs, Krzysztof Jóźwiak was able to get more proximity, but he was getting it by cutting the angle, cutting the lines here and there, having some small bubbles, when Piotr Kozłowski was not having that much proximity, but his chase was way more cleaner. So now we would like to see that battle one more time and see who would be able to bring something more.
Yeah, so you heard it there from David Callas. He is our head judge for this championship, very experienced judge. So definitely not a clear-cut decision at all from for that battle that we just saw. As we take another look around, you can see Karolina Filarczyk's pit area there with the lovely big pink tents, vans, and trucks. As we look further down, a lot of people around. Nice to see everybody out at the track having a look around. Do go support your drivers, buy their merchandise, get their posters, have a bit of a chat with them. That's some of my favorite times at a drift event, is going to have a look and chat to drivers, get into their mindset, see how they assess different things, whether they're going into qualifying, going into battles, see how they approach it. So as we wait for our one more time drivers to come back around onto the track, we get a good overview, and you can see the sun absolutely beating down on our track surface there, and a lot of rubber laid down there, so there will be a lot of grip there too. So we can see as we wait, the grip, when the cars are out there, the cars are obviously putting down rubber. When the track is left idle like this, the sun really does do a number on the tire rubber and the tarmac. It does heat it up quite a bit. And that gives the drivers that little bit more grip, but that can be to their own detriment, not expecting as much out there, and then you end up having to do a few little corrections, mistakes, if you have more grip than you initially thought. So we just wait for this. I think they're changing tires, putting fuel in, whatever those guys need to do to get their cars ready for that one more time. As we pan back around, I think I heard some tires. Yeah, we have tires getting warm there. So you can see at the top of your screens there, our sponsors, Toyota, Tiski00, Saigen, and all our other sponsors that support our series. Big thank you to them for helping us out, getting this championship going, and really bringing this stream to you guys. And thank you to you guys for tuning in. A lot of people tuning in. I know Brandon's very good for looking at comments. I can't do 2 things at once, so I usually just watch my stream and really just let Brandon work with the comments. So we will look onto this next battle again for this one more time. Piotr Kozłowski versus Krzysztof Jóźwiak. I did hear David say it there, but I did completely forget how to say it in that. So the lights go green. We have Kozłowski to lead out Jóźwiak here as they initiate in. Jóźwiak not giving Kozłowski an inch on initiation as they transition back. Kozłowski has a little bit of Jóźwiak has a little bit of a straighten as he pulls directly back into the pocket of that F15 onto the front wheel there as they transition back down. A little bit of a straighten there in the chase as we come back down around the bank onto outer zone 6 and across the line we go. Wow. Some serious driving going here. Look at this initiation here in the chase position from Jóźwiak. perfectly in there, not pushing too hard, but letting him Jozwiak do, or Kozłowski do what he needs to do in the chase. A little bit of a straighten there in the chase though, as we come around this big sweeper here. Lovely angle from Kozłowski, and you can see being that smooth allows the chase driver to tuck in nice and neatly beside that S15. As they come down here though, there's a little bit of a straighten in the chase, and he checks up a little bit, just wanting to see what that S15's doing maybe. And he does make him go slightly inside, but does stay within that proximity window there. So we will bring these guys back to the start line. We do have Kozłowski stopped in the tire warming area as he does start to make his way to the line. And we will get going on the next half of this battle. And we are looking to see another unbelievable chase from Kozłowski here. We want to see nice, technical, tight tandems here. Will we even see some collisions? Who knows? I hope not. But at the same time, I'm sure the people at home would like to see some collisions, because people love to see carnage. And as we take a trip around this M2 BMW here of Jozwiak, he gives us a little bit of a thumbs up out the window as the modal stand, the wind really getting up there, the modal start line starting to shake around. And we wait for the marshal to give the go-ahead here to both our drivers. You can see Kozłowski pointing in a little bit there, angled his car just so he doesn't have to do a whole lot of turning and get that start that he really needs as they leave the start line chicane. We get initiation, and Kozłowski tried to initiate right on the back bumper of that M2 BMW as they transition through the Monji section down into outer zone 2 here, around the big sweeping section. Missing outer zone 3 is Jozwiak as we come down into the decel zone here. Kozłowski trying to get straight back into the pocket of that BMW M2, and across the line we go. Not as fluid and as tight, and close in proximity from Kozłowski there. Jozwiak was a little bit closer, I think, in his chase, but few mistakes from each driver, which again could cause that chase driver to have a little bit of a moment of what do I do here. So a little bit of confusion there maybe when our lead driver did miss that outer zone 3. Does drop in very close there to that curve, does our chase driver of Kozłowski. We will see them come down into the outside zone here. I'll come around the bank through outside zone 6 and across the line. So we will get a judge's decision here, and we will get a decision, get those guys out of the cars, give the crowd a bit of a round of applause. They have a bit of a hug and they'll say, wow, let's hope we're not going one more time again, because I'd say they are shattered sitting in them cars. It's very warm inside there as Jozwiak has a little bit of a sleep, and Peter Kozłowski gets the win in that S15 there, goes through to the top 16. Unfortunately, Christoph bowing out of competition in that top 32, and we will see him back for round 2. And I believe we're going to have a quick look at our standings before we take off here. So here is our bracket. So we've Nasser Al-Halbarli versus Peter Utasi, Fabian Drzinski versus Kamil Harecki, Mateusz Szuski versus Viktor Vetemark, Bartosz Solarski and Mikołaj Zarzeski. And going to the far side of the bracket then, we have Jakub Krul versus Mads Andersen, Alexander Frial versus Orest Mikhalchuk, and Lukas Tasinski versus Kuba Progonski. And rounding out that top 16, we have Valtteri Shevlov versus Piotr Kozłowski. What a top 16 we have in store.
Yep. Absolutely insane. Obviously, we're going to be taking a short break to move on. So we're going to be moving to a different live stream. So make sure you tune into that when we move into the top 16 action. I am back. My voice is somewhat there.